Welcome back to Marital and Family Mediation. In a couple of weeks, you will be starting to mediate simulated conflict. And this week and next, I hope to help you feel very comfortable in preparing to do that. This week, I would like to focus on communication skills. And some of this will be a review of what you have learned in NCR 508 and other classes. A review does not hurt with family and marital mediation. Hopefully this will help you feel empowered and encouraged that you already have a great body of skill that you can take into a family and marital mediation. Now, Satir used communication skills in her work with troubled families, and last week I asked you to do several of her communication activities or games. If you did, you discovered that you were reviewing the core NCR communication skills. If you did not take the time to do those communication activities games, I hope you will do them soon, because they will be invaluable as you prepare to mediate simulated conflict with simulated families, marriages. The first thing I would like to emphasize, and Virginia Satir also talks about this, the critical importance of suspending judgment with families and couples. Now, any of you who have gone through your own family marital mediation or have gone through an ugly, painful divorce, and in my experience, there is no divorce that is not painful. I don't care how cordial and agreeable the couple, the parents are. It's a wrenching emotional process for the majority of human beings. You will appreciate that the people involved in a divorce, a separation, a family conflict are super or hypersensitive. They may misconstrue half of what you do as a mediator, especially your nonverbal communication, the tone of your voice, many subtleties that outside of contentious marital and family mediation you could get away with. But these parties are super sensitive, and you may be triggering old childhood hurt, you might be triggering grief, they might misconstrue you as preferencing the other party. There's an infinite number of possibilities. So suspending judgment and consistently practicing suspension of judgment so that the parties experience you as an open-minded, accepting, supportive, encouraging mediator is crucial. Unless you're able to do this, pretty much 100% of the time that you're with parties in marital and family mediation, you're going to have a tough time with building their trust. It takes a lot of practice. It takes a lot of feedback from parties. And McKnight and Erickson talk about reflective practice with mediator interventions. And I will be, this is your reading for this week. I'll be talking about it more next week. I will stress it more than once. You need to always be asking, how are my parties experiencing who I am, what I'm doing, especially if you're from a different culture. They need to be the experts, as I introduced in earlier lectures. You don't argue with them that you're well-intentioned, that you're not judging them. If they feel judged by you, if they're not appreciating what you're trying to do to build their trust, to understand them, to listen, you need to listen to them, and you need to get their feedback, their honest feedback, and then you need to be flexible and willing to respond to their feedback. Now, the good news is that all the communication skills you're learning in NCRP are going to help you with parties in family and marital mediations. If nothing else, accurate paraphrasing can be your godsend. And I'm going to encourage each of you to start getting feedback, if you haven't, from your classmates as you practice these skills. And hopefully, you're going to identify your strongest skill. And it might be accurate paraphrasing of what you're hearing. That's fine. Showing sincere interest in parties goes a long ways to building trust, to diffusing conflict and emotion. If that's your strongest skill, then I'm going to suggest that be your fallback skill. When you're in the pressure, in a crisis, in a family and marital mediation, maybe somebody's just lost their temper, has attacked you with a judgmental statement, maybe somebody has burst out crying, and I hope those of you playing, divorcing couples, parents, will give your mediator a chance to respond to a few of these crises. It's wonderful practice. It's also a lot of fun when you're doing it in a simulation rather than living it. But accurate paraphrasing can be your fallback. Now, some of you are going to be born empathetic listeners. You can actually give sincere empathy in the face of anger, grief, fear, worry, whatever those emotions are. If that's your strongest suit, that is your fallback skill. Now, those of you who are not able to give sincere empathy, first of all, I would ask you, do you really want to do family and marital mediation? Because not having sincere compassion when people are going through one of the worst crises of their life, you just might not be suited for this as a regular part of your practice. But I'm also going to say, because maybe you disagree with me, sincere interest will still be a great gift that you can give the parties. So either of those work. Now, reframing, as you are going to be reading, when you read McKnight and Erickson, is probably the most powerful tool you have if you can use it and use it well. Reframing is in the face of toxic language. You launder the language. You take out what's offensive, what's attacking, what's negative, but you still are able to pull forward and reiterate the most important message of this toxic language. Not easy, takes a lot of practice. But if you can do it, it's going to be like giving your parties gold. They will be shocked, along with others, that in the face of their anger, attack, grief, whatever they're throwing at you, you are able to hear them so deeply and so skillfully that you can let go of all the negativity and pull forth the positive core. They will see you as a masterful mediator. So if you're good at that, congratulations. If you struggle with it, as many of us do, try practicing while you're in this course. The other communication skill that matters a great deal in family and marital mediation, I introduced it last week when I talked about asserting ground rules, I statements. You will be using I statements over and over again in your family and marital mediations to assert and express yourself. Please eliminate you statements. You do not want to be heard, and I'm using a you statement right now, as criticizing any of the parties. They are going to take offense. You may unravel, undo so much of the good that you've done with creating a positive climate if you slip and say you. Instead, develop the habit of saying, I'm uncomfortable with this. I don't see us as respecting the ground rules that we've negotiated. I want to remind you of the ground rules over and over, expressing yourself with an I statement. No one can argue with an I statement. This is your experience. This is your assertion. You're not attacking anyone. You are simply expressing yourself in a strong way. Okay, so I've reviewed the NCRP communication skills that are important when you do family and marital mediation. Since I know you've studied these skills more than once throughout our program, I don't feel I need to say more. I do welcome any questions, and I welcome challenges, especially once you're in your simulations. Please write me with some of the very specifics of what somebody did and said, and ask me, what could I have done differently? Tell me what you did. I would like to mentor you the way I mentor family and marital mediators in the real world. Have a wonderful week.